body, we will hold those until Ms. Danielson arrives. We will walk through our agenda for Monday night. Item number 3, Ms. Dickerson, is changing work sessions and meetings of the council for all of 2025 to accommodate holidays. Correct?
Yes, that's correct. It's for Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Labor Day, and then Thanksgiving Day for the work session.
Very good. Any questions about that from the body? Appreciate very much doing those once a year instead of waiting. Thank you, Ms. Dickerson, for doing that.
You're welcome.
Item 4, Ms. Carrier, is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with USI Insurance.
Yes, sir. Good evening. So tonight for your consideration is the renewal of an agreement for our insurance consultant position with USI Insurance Services, Mr. James Brittle. As you know, he helps us throughout the year with the renewal of all of our insurance products, as well as marketing the city to prospective insurance carriers, and helps us with contract reviews, certificates of insurance, and that sort of thing. If approved, this policy would be our 4th year of business with them. We're very happy with their services. There is a 20% increase from last year, but this is an annual contract with 2 additional years at the same price with no increase. And also, I wanted to mention that by having a fee-based contract instead of commission-based, in this calendar year, we have saved over $148,000. So I think it's very good for the city.
Any questions for Ms. Carrier? Very good. And you'll be back with us Monday night, sir?
Unfortunately, I have to take a mentor of mine out of town to deer hunt. We mentor inner city youth from Parker High School. And unfortunately, our annual deer hunt for them after their school classes in this Friday, we're going to be in South Alabama, so I will not be able to be here.
I think that's an important endeavor, but Ms. Carrier knows how to get a hold of you throughout today or tomorrow or Monday in case we have questions.
Absolutely, and Monday as well.
Very good, sir.
And
Thank
I'll
you.
be here Monday.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Knighton has item 5, an execution of agreement with Global Experience Specialists.
Yes, sir. This is simply as part of our exhibition at the International Council of Shopping Centers in Las Vegas, which we'll be doing in May of 2025. As part of it, we're required to engage a vendor to assist with material handling and booth setup, and that's what this is. And legal has reviewed it and had no issues with it.
Any questions for Mr. Knighton on that item? Thank you, sir. Mr. Aldaca has item 6. That's a resolution authorizing an agreement with Cook's Pest Control.
Yes, sir. We have 3 buildings, city buildings, that are coming up for renewal. We used to do a liquid treatment. We are no longer acceptable to do liquid treatment, so we're doing the Centricon system, and Cook's Pest Control came out the best price for the city.
Any questions for Mr. Aldaca? Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Cornett is here for the next 3. Number 7 accepts a contribution from Alabama Department of Tourism and amends the budget for that.
Yes, so this is also a request to allow me to sign a letter of understanding accepting this grant. So Alabama Tourism has appropriated $7,800 to help offset costs from the Hartford Nationals, $7,800 worth from fiscal year 24. So we're asking permission to accept that gift and also permission to execute the contract.
Any questions for Ms. Cornett? Item 8 is very similar, Ms. Cornett, a contribution from tourism.
That's right. This contribution is for $3,900, and this was to help offset the cost of the, I might have mixed these up. The $7,800 one was for the firefighter challenge, and then the $3,900 one was for the Hartford Nationals. So like the other one, we have a letter of understanding that needs to be signed, so I'm asking for permission to sign that and also to accept the grant to offset our costs that we've already budgeted and paid for in fiscal 24.
Any questions on that item? All righty. And then finally, Ms. Cornett, item 9, amending the budget for the purchase of a vehicle.
Yes, this is a budget amendment request to use some of the drug funds to purchase a vehicle. The police department had received permission to use the drug funds for this purpose, and so you might remember that this is one of our special revenue funds, which are designated monies that come into the city to be used for specific purposes.
Very good. Any questions on that item? Thank you, Ms. Cornett.
Thank you.
And Mr. Reeves has 4 in a row with item 10. This is a renewal of a professional management agreement with Clearwater.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Lida. This is an agreement of an existing contract that we have with Clearwater Solutions. It is for engineering and related professional management and operations services affiliated with the Inverness and River Chase wastewater treatment systems. Clearwater Solutions has worked with the city of Hoover for the past 17 years. They've done a great job, and they've been instrumental in keeping the city in compliance with their ADEM permits. This agreement, as I said, is similar to the last agreement with Clearwater. It's a 3-year period with the option of 1 3-year period extension. And as with the last agreement, the city may terminate this agreement at any time by giving a 30-day written notice to Clearwater Solutions. A couple of minor changes to the agreement is there's a cap on the allowable CPI increase to a maximum of 5% per year. And we have increased the line cleaning and TV inspection requirements from 10% to 20% per year. So that's about 90,000 linear feet per year that they will be looking at and inspecting for us and cleaning. The fees associated with the agreement are currently budgeted in our fiscal year 25 budget, and it has been reviewed by the city attorney's office, and everything is good to go.
And that covers services at both plants, correct, Mr.
Yes, sir, that's correct. That includes both plants, just a summary of the information. And Mr. Welch with our office is here as well, if you have any questions for him. If I screw anything up, Jason, correct me. But there's 86 miles of gravity sewer. There's 12.5 miles of force main sewer line. There's 43 pump stations, and there's 2,745 manholes associated with our system. So it's an enormous system, and they do a great job. I will commend them. They've done some internal incentives to keep 2 gentlemen with them. We have Torrey Jones. He's their vice president of operations here with us tonight. And Brian Collins, he's area manager for Clearwater. We have 2 gentlemen that have worked. One of them has worked in our system for over 20 years. His name is Mike McCary. And the other gentleman is Nick Hammock. He's been working with Clearwater for over 10 years. And both of these gentlemen, they've put incentives in place separate from this agreement to keep these gentlemen in place. Their institutional knowledge is invaluable to the city. So I just wanted to mention that. They do an excellent job, and we're excited about continuing this agreement with them.
Very good. Any other questions for Mr. Reeves? I had the opportunity to tour a plant a few months ago. I'd never before seen one. It's quite enlightening.
So you don't forget it, do you?
Oh, no. Item 11, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Southern Lighting and Traffic Systems.
Yes, sir. This is a renewal of our annual software and maintenance agreement with Southern Lighting and Traffic Systems for support of 85 traffic signal controllers located throughout the city. This signal system was installed in 2018. This is a yearly maintenance agreement. It's for $16,000, which is roughly $188 per intersection. This money is also budgeted in this year's budget.
Any questions for Mr. Reeves on the traffic systems? All right, item 12 is accepting public, we can take actually 12 and 13 together, Mr. Reeves, if you don't mind, since they're alike, beginning with the Trace Crossings 21st sector and then the Glasscock Crossing acceptance.
Yes, sir. Our staff, and especially Mr. Welch behind me, they've inspected and reviewed both of these items, both Glasscock and Trace Crossings for compliance. Everything is in order, and we recommend accepting these subdivisions for maintenance. These also have been reviewed by the city attorney's office.
Any questions for either the Trace Crossings or Glasscock Crossing acceptance? Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, thank you.
Item 14 is an item that was continued from a month ago, appointing 2 members to the Stadium Trace Village Improvement District. Any questions on that item?
I do. I guess it was probably before my time. What's the purpose of the improvement district?
Ms.
Anybody know?
Danielson? Sorry.
It is my recollection, excuse me, that this district was actually created to, actually pay for improvements to that area, and that there were actual bonds issued by the improvement district, following construction to do further construction. I'm not sure what they were because we were not actually part of that, since it's an independent board.
Okay. We got two people here to put on the board or the committee. How many total are on the committee now, and who are they?
There are 3, and I believe one of them is Lawrence Kadish, William Kadish, and Jim Massengill.
Okay. So who's the chair of the committee?
I'm not sure that we know. Do we know, Wendy? We believe it to be William Kadish.
Okay. So who on the body made the nominations for these people? By the way, the people on there are great people. I know them very well. Just understand the process. Is this something that the chair does, or is something that the council does?
It's something that the city council does. It's very similar to the park board. It's just another type entity.
So is Mr. Kadish involved in this process at all? Was he aware?
This is a city council, election. I'm not sure whether or not he was involved or not, but they would not be involved. It would be up to city council to actually elect for that.
So
by statute.
by statute. So they can't elect their own board members. The council has to,
Correct.
or appoint. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Item 15, Mr. Martin. Resolution extending the temporary moratorium on certain businesses.
Yes, sir. Over the last several months, various members of city staff, including planning and zoning, the police department, revenue, as well as members of our legal team, have been meeting and working towards putting together an ordinance dealing with vaping and CBD usage within the city, not only to try to point out proper placement of these businesses, if that is the primary principal use, the retail sale of CBD and vaping products, but also to include provisions and guardrails on those products in general and their sale across the city. As we have gotten further into this exercise and making sure that we are in lockstep with state law, it's going to take us a little bit more time to work through those nuances, and I believe a couple of additional months should be enough to get us to a point where we have an ordinance for this body to consider. The request is for a 6 months extension. Hopefully it will not take that long, and we can go ahead and wrap this up sooner than that.
Very good. Any questions for Mr. Martin on the extension?
One question. How many vape stores do we have? Do you know?
I think we tabulated somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 or so across the entire city, give or take.
Well, I know Chief Durzis and his team informed the council, I know individually and collectively, about what was going on, so kudos to you on that. But just to make sure, Chief Durzis, this does not include premium cigar shops, correct? Thank you.
Mr. Sweeney, any questions? All right. Item 16, Mr. Martin, is for the regular agenda resolution for the abatement of weeds. We're almost through this season, but.
Hopefully, a little bit more frost and we can knock these the rest of the way out. I do not have an update at this time for this address stating that it was taken care of. We will have an update for Monday night to ensure that we have the latest and greatest information for you guys. There's still hope that another weekend will knock it out, but I think we'll be back Monday night to deal with it.
I had a question earlier in the week about this address. Google's showing it as the Masonic Lodge. But the Masonic Lodge is in good shape. So is Google wrong, or do we know what this lot is?
I can certainly double check.
Okay, if you would, please. Google could be wrong on that, but it's showing as large. Any other questions on that item? Item 17 is an ordinance to zone property at 2985 John Hawkins Parkway.
Yes, this is coming back for second reading and final consideration. This is the large lot at the end of the Paradise Lakes subdivision that has a conservation easement across it. Some of you will recall this was originally part of the holdings for the Patton Creek Shopping Center, but is on the opposite side of the tributary from the shopping center proper. There is, within the conservation easement, recorded on the property provision for one single-family residential dwelling, and that is the purpose for which we are requesting this zoning change.
Very good. Any questions regarding that item? Very good. That's all for this evening. We will be back at 6 o'clock on Monday for a potential vote on these items. Thank you all for being here.